It's Mars, lover of all things iconic.
Hello, hello, it's Shy, and welcome to the Creative Creative. And as you know, or maybe you don't know, this is where we kick the shit about all things creative, getting into the process about how you, me, and we bring our imaginations to life.
Yes, and if you're new here, welcome. Shy and myself are multifaceted creatives. We wanted to create a safe space for creatives to talk about their process, the ups and downs, the ins and outs, the highs and lows of being a creative, to inspire not only us, but the people that listen to us. So we hope that you will enjoy the show and have been enjoying the show as we have so much more coming up for you later in the year. So today, we're going to be talking about trusting the process, which for creatives are very hard. Me and Shy are kind of going through that right now, and we're going to like touch on that later in the show. But before we get into that, we're going to get into our dream gigs. And Shy, let the audience know what dream gig is.
Yes, so Dream Gig is a segment of the show that you all will hear very often, where we literally manifest our dreams and desires and we bring them to life. And so for Mars and I, we are, as you know, multifaceted creatives. And so that may look like being creative directors for various projects or even opening up, I don't know, an ice cream shop in
Right.
in Brooklyn. Who knows, but whatever that is, we want to just really push those ideas and get them out into the universe. So, yeah, let's get into
Yes.
it. Talk to us about your dream gig, Mars. What we got
So
going
my
on?
dream gig this week is Brandy's Full Moon album, which is one of my favorite.
Mhm.
Turned 21 this year, or will turn 21 this year if it hasn't already. And usually, like when albums hit their 20-year mark, like iconic, legendary albums like Full Moon, the artist will usually do like a little mini tour around it. Like I think Jill Scott did one for Who Was Jill Scott? Yes, she did because I went. Mariah Carey, did Mariah Carey do one for the Emancipation? If
I
she
don't
did,
know.
if she didn't, she need to. But usually, like when I kind of like a lot of people was wanting Beyonce to do one for Dangerously in Love. Like when it turned 20, people was like, you should do a tour just dedicated to that, which I like, not a like a big tour, but like intimate
Yes.
settings. So I was just thinking for a Brandy's Full Moon album that I would love to creative direct a intimate tour for it, where it's like we would do a couple of stops in New York, LA, Atlanta, and Houston and Vegas, and it would be built around like the entire album, but it would be based around a couple who is kind of like a couple that is mimicking a relationship based off of all the songs on the Full Moon album. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I just think the fans would appreciate it so much. I think it would sell out at each show. And for the opening, being that Brandy was pregnant with Sarah when she was making this album, Sarai would open the tour because Sarai is creating her own
Ooh.
music now. So I think it would just be like a full circle moment, not only for Brandy, but also for Sarai. And I just think that album just needs a lot of reverence because a lot of artists, you can point to that album as inspiration. And we would definitely have celebrity guests in different cities. Like I would definitely love to have Ariana Grande at one of the stops, Lucky Day at another. Like anyone who is inspired by Brandy and her vocal ability would need to pay homage to Full Moon. So that would be
Mm.
my dream gig. Shy, what's yours for this week?
Ooh, okay. So my dream gig is inspired by Alexander McQueen and just my love of him as a creative and also the brand that he birth that we know of as Alexander McQueen. And so I remember back in 2018 when the Alexander McQueen film came out, I was in a theater literally by myself, no one else in this theater. And I'm watching this film and I was so emotional, yet so inspired. And it just left me wanting to see more and just like tap more into the life of McQueen. And so with my dream gig, it is a series that I'm calling Blow the Queen. And it captures the friendship between Isabella Blow and Alexander McQueen and
Ooh.
from its genesis. Okay, how Isabella Blow she damn near discovered McQueen, at his graduate show at what is it, Central St. Martin's, and McQueen had showed this collection called Jack the Ripper Stalks His Victims, and Isabella Blow she bought his whole collection, And, it was from there that they started to really create this relationship where she was almost his muse. But, and throughout their friendship, they did experience some hard times and some
Mhm.
betrayal and, just some lows, if you will. And I really want to tap into those moments. And because I feel like it's real. That's what some friendships are. That's what some friendships
Yeah.
look like. Unfortunately, both of them would later pass, and leaving behind a great legacy. But I just want to talk about that, and I have a bunch of like people that I think like could play these roles. And I'll go into that just a little bit. I definitely would like to see this directed by someone like Ryan Murphy or Ridley
Mhm.
Scott. I would like to see Chloe Sevigny play Isabella Blow. As
Question,
far as
question.
yeah,
Is this gonna be like a series or a film?
it'll be a series.
Got you. Yes, yes.
Yes. I wanna see Russell Tovey play, Alexander McQueen and maybe like a young, Asa Butterfield playing a young McQueen. I thought about Anna Taylor-Joy playing Daphne Guinness.
Mm.
Um, Dev Patel could play Miguel Adrover, because, he and McQueen were friends, and there were times where McQueen would like crash at Miguel's pad, and I love Miguel as oh my god, he is such a great designer, such a great creative. I even thought
Mhm.
about the score being by Solange, and it was really inspired by her work as a composer for the New York City Ballet.
Oh my gosh, I went to
And so
that.
Right? And I think that would
Yeah.
be I think to hear her spin on, like, just this score, like, because the score for the McQueen film, which was by Michael Nyman, was, like, incredible. And it was very, dramatic and just with strings and just, drama. So I think Solange would do
Mhm.
such a great job. I wanna see costuming by Patricia Field or, like, Patty Wilson. Uh
Ooh, let's do both.
and
Thank you.
okay, and head of makeup is Pat McGrath, of
Of
course, her and her
course.
team. And, so I just wanna tap into, their friendship, but I also wanna, tap into their lives as
Mhm.
well. And I would love to see, a lot of these collections, that are, like, dear to me, but are clearly dear to McQueen. I would like to see them in motion, get some really good pulls, see those things on
Mhm.
the screen and whatnot. And then just some random moments like, McQueen's relationship with Lil Kim, like, when they, like,
Mhm.
kissed at, like, the fashion awards and little things like that.
Yeah.
Um just to really add some fluff to the show,
Yeah.
down to McQueen's last, collection, Plato's Atlantis, for spring 2010. And,
Mhm.
yeah, pretty much that, but that's what I wanna see. I really wanna see more about the life of McQueen and Isabella Blow, so that is
Absolutely.
Blow the Queen, ladies and gentlemen.
Especially with, this latest collection that came out by Shine McGreer. How do you say his last
Yeah,
name?
I don't
Shine,
I
y'all know
don't
who I'm talking about, the new creative director of Alexander McQueen. It was a chop for
Yeah,
me, it was a mess, so it's just kinda like, I think people need to remember who Alexander McQueen was and just reverence his art and his style of creating because I feel like it's
right.
kinda getting lost in the sauce, and I don't like that.
I
Um
agree. I agree 100% with that. I feel like the house after Sarah, you know, she after she finished, I felt like the house should have either closed or tried something completely different. Like, to be honest with you, I think a lot of brands need to when you lose your je ne sais quoi, when you lose that spark, it's time to
Mhm.
either bow out gracefully and know that like, okay, we did our thing, or take it somewhere else creatively. Like I often I don't get when brands or just houses or whatever don't really like use creativity to the best of their ability, because if you think about it, like, show us something different, like,
Yeah, yeah,
maybe a museum exhibition, or
like
maybe like
something.
something completely different and out the wazoo. And I get it, like, a lot of it does boil down to money, but like, come on,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, the house can't survive off of them McQueen Adidas like sneakers that was popular, like
oh
which they're still
god,
popular right now. But the house, and even that, like that being the standout, like the what do you call it, the hero product, that being the hero product of
yeah,
McQueen, that's not giving McQueen.
at all, at
Like that's
all.
so calm, like it doesn't give McQueen at all. So I do think that that needs to see the light of day, just so that people can touch into who he really was. Before we move on, what popped in my head was, so a trigger warning. This is about suicide. Trigger warning.
Yeah,
So I heard, and I don't know how true this is, but I heard that McQueen was planning to commit suicide on the runway at his final show. Have you heard about that?
yes. He
Would that
so
be
that
something you would put in the series?
Yes, that would be definitely a moment because it was in the it was in the film, where he was going to commit suicide during a show.
Mhm.
And obviously he didn't do that, but to hear about how he wanted to do it, like, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was gonna happen in like a glass box, and it was just gonna be like, boom, and the audience was gonna be like, "Okay, is this scripted? Is this real? Like, what's happening?" And he was
Mhm.
gonna, like, literally gag them, but I'm grateful he didn't do it that way. Um,
Girl, that is so traumatizing.
oh my
But
god.
I see, and this may sound very weird, but I see the art in it. It's very
Right,
traumatizing, but I can see the art in it because my
right,
God, that's crazy.
right, and so
And
but
what
now
film is this that you're talking about?
it's called,
It's a documentary
um
on his life?
yes, it's
I
called
think I've seen that, and that's where I heard this first from.
yes, it's,
Okay.
directed by, what's his name? Ian Benoit and, Peter Tedji.
Yeah, that's
Um,
yeah. I
but
need to
yeah,
rewatch it again. Yeah.
that would have been that we would have never been able to live that down. Like, that would have been the highlight of fashion for, like, the next 300 years. Like, oh my goodness. But, I was even thinking, like, what about, like, he was such a great storyteller, and I think that's one thing that I actually really miss with seeing, like, when other designers, came into the brand. I miss seeing that element of storytelling on the runway where you're really like, you're literally telling us a story. Like, the set and the pieces are just, they're a story, but obviously the brand was very personal and near and dear to McQueen. He was clearly telling his own stories from his own point of view, and he even said that he wanted the house to close, once he passed on, and obviously it hasn't closed down or shut down, but, like, I was even thinking, like, maybe, and I don't know if they have this or not, but a um a storyteller award for, like, the graduate show at Central St. Martin's, where it's like the McQueen Storyteller Award or something like that, to just really honor him in a better way than I feel like the show, well, the actual house has, gone on to do. Because I'm sorry, and granted, I know the pressure is on for, I always forget his name. The pressure is on for the new Sean, yes, for the new creative director, but, like, you know, come on now.
Did not even do a check-in with you this before the episode started, before we got all the way into it. So let's do a check-in now. So how's your week? How's your week been? How's everything going? What's going on?
Mhm, mhm. Well, thank you. I had a very productive week. This season in my life is filled with so many awakenings and enlightening moments, and I'm just relishing in that. Um, I have been being still and being quiet more. So this week was definitely filled with some stillness and some quietness. Um, and also, even, like, just to to bounce on what our topic is today, just filled with a bunch of trusting the process too. So I had a really good
Yes.
week. I had a good week, and I'm happy that, today was a heavy, heavy rest day. I rested up until the afternoon, and, I feel good. I feel really good, and I feel very grateful. So how about you? What's
Yes.
going on with you?
This week has been a trying one. So I have started antidepressants this week, and they have been keeping me up all night. Like I cannot sleep. So it's like I
Mm,
have been up all night and then like been tired during the day. So if I sound like a little stuffy, it's probably because I have not gotten any rest. And I was out yesterday. If you live in New York, it was like really cold, rainy. It was just a mess.
yeah.
So, I just have not been able to get any rest. And speaking of trust in the process, that has been very challenging for me this week. So let's just jump into it
Let's talk
because
about it.
in trust in the process, what does that look like for you? Like what does that mean for you?
The first thing that came to my mind, so y'all pardon my language, is calm the fuck down, sit the fuck down.
Girl, we can cuss on this show. Get into it. We grown.
That's that's what it gives, like, trust in the process for me, it always looks like the least resistant,
Yeah.
and really, really sitting in that. And sometimes it looks like movement and sometimes it looks like stillness. Now, for me in this season or even this week, it's looked like stillness, where I
Mhm.
kind of find myself in moments where I'm like, "Arr." Like for instance, I just started I guess you could say a collaborative work with a friend of mine and for a brand that I'm launching soon. And it it's happening and it's happening in such a way that I'm like, okay, whoa, this is like beautiful. It's happening, it's going, it's going, it's going. And I know like with my excitement, it can kind of cause me to kind of just be like all over the place and do things and like be anxious and everything. But being able to just sit down and know that, okay, we put in the work, we, got the artist, we got him everything he needs, like
Mhm.
let him work, let the process happen, trust it, and when it comes back to you, there's that. So really, really just like sitting in that and trusting it. I'm really feeling that. And so that's what
Okay.
that side is looking for me.
Trust in the process for me is it's very difficult because for me it symbolizes like letting go.
Mm,
Like not letting go of what you're creating and as far as trusting the process, but like letting go of like anxiety and stress and worry and things that are kind of like taken away from creating whatever it is that you're creating. And this week that has been very challenging because I've been working on the project and I've been working on it for over 2 years now, and, this weekend was supposed to be the photo shoot based around the project, and I really just wanna get it done because 'cause I've been working on it for so long, and also it's just kinda like when I first this is like a relaunch because when I first launched the product, I didn't have, much of a following and like I do now. I didn't have as much impact in the industry as I do now, and I actually made, this project, like, specifically for me, like, but then other people kinda wanted to partake in it, so I was like, I'm gonna, like, do this, like, as a launch and just treat it as it should be treated, but in having a photo shoot, like, I'm creative directing the shoot, so this is also a launch for that because that's the kind of work that I want to continue doing, that's the kind of work I wanna go into, and we
mhm,
all know that if you're a creative director, you have to have, like, some things in your books under your belt to show, like, what you can do, like, some people will just trust you based off of who you are and your creativity, but I want to be the type of creative director where I have work to show you of what I've done.
mhm,
And with that, I had to like get a photographer and get a model and get a styling assistant. And when you're putting together a team like that, like I'm a very like DIY type of bitch. Like I just rather do it myself because I know it's gonna get done the way I want it to get done. But I'm not a photographer. I'm not a model. And for my vision to come to fruition like I want it to come to fruition, I have to put my trust in others and build a team around projects. And in trusting the process, that is very hard for me because when you're like building a team, a creative team, like you have to work around their schedules and they have to work around your schedule. And, everybody just has to be on the same page. And like even the excitement and just like the
mhm,
way you're strong, you feel strongly about the project, you want others to feel that same thing. And this week the photo shoot did not happen, and this
Mm,
is the third or fourth time that it has been rescheduled. And actually, this last time it has not even been rescheduled yet because I'm feeling very irritated. I'm also feeling a bit disrespected by how everything is happening. It's taking its toll, and I just don't know how to feel about it, and I kinda want to give up on it, but if we're talking about trusting the process, I just have to see this as part of the process, but that is difficult for me. Like both of us, like, we're not I mean, we're working because 'cause we're working as creative directors on our own shit, like, that is a job in itself, but Shy and
right.
I had traditional, like, part-time, full-time, like, 9 to 5s or regular jobs. We don't have those jobs anymore. Like
We
we
don't.
resigned and let them go.
Yep.
And even that comes with trusting the process. It's kind of like
It
we want
does.
to bring these projects to life, but where is the money gonna come
And
from?
I can tell the people, y'all, I was wrongfully terminated and discriminated against at my job, and
Oh,
I'm
right,
and
right.
I'm in that process too, where I had to, not even had to, I felt extremely compelled to file a formal complaint or grievance, with like the New York State Division of Human Rights. Like it got that deep, y'all, because again, while we're talking about trusting the process, it's crazy because, I'll give y'all a little backstory with this job. I did feel a shift. I did feel like my time there, was running out. And if if anything had run out, to be honest with you. And so I, just as within, hearing from God, hearing from the universe, I knew that my time there was coming to an end. I knew it,
Yeah,
but I didn't know it was gonna happen that quick. I had a date in mind that I felt very strongly about. I'm like, "Okay, cool, we got this date," and mind you, that date is, like, next week, and this happened, like, 3 weeks ago. So I was
yeah,
like, "Dang," but again, within trusting the process, I was like, "You know what? I'm going to this was bound to happen. It was going to happen. My exit
yeah,
was going to happen, but I didn't envision it happening this way." And so
yeah.
it definitely shook up some feathers in me, but it also, the beautiful thing about trusting the process too, is that within trusting the process, you find that there are nuggets that are waiting for you along the
Mhm.
way
Yeah,
because I tell you the timing was so perfect to where like had I been at work for certain things that happened in the past 3 weeks, I would have certain things would just wouldn't have happened, the way that they happen given,
yeah.
my freedom,
Mhm.
or my free time, which is really crazy to think about. But again, it's just one of those things where it's like I'm fully in it. I'm fully committed to, and I know I keep saying trust the process, y'all. I know I keep saying it, but it's just one of those things where I'm just like, oh yeah, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be because to be honest with you, if I had it my way, I wouldn't be working at anybody's job. I would be
Right.
doing okay my own thing, 24/7. If anything, this definitely helped to get my life set up, more in that direction to propel me, in that direction even more, which I'm very grateful for because I'm still here. I haven't given up as much
Mhm.
as I've like been like, "Whoa, okay, this is trying," but I'm still in it, and there's
Yeah.
so much beauty in that. You
Yeah,
know.
it is. You touched on something like, because when I resigned, I didn't expect to resign that early either. Like, I was also in the mindset of everything else in my life is like getting bigger and growing and needing more attention from me, as far as creative endeavors. And of course, that's what I want to focus on because that's working for myself essentially in resigning when I did resign because I was also being like discriminated against, lied on,
Mm,
all
mm,
types
mm,
of
mm,
shit. And I just was
mm.
not gonna put up with that shit. So in resigning, I was just kind of like catapulted me forward too. Like it gave me no choice but to focus on these creative endeavors and just like put my all into me and bet on myself. And I have done this many times in my life and it has always worked out for me. But it's just like even in knowing that it never takes away like that little bit of worry or stress that comes with
Mhm.
it. Even though you know things are gonna like work out in your favor and things are gonna be great for you. It's just I don't know. I just feel like living in this world that's terrible, like that leans on capitalism so much, it really it puts you in fear of like not having that backbone of a regular job. And I don't know. Like I get trust in the process, and I'm glad that that job is not a part of my process because when I did resign, that's when things started to like really turn around. Like this show took I got accepted into this podcast program where we used to shoot the studio, and then this show got off the ground, and then like I was able to dedicate more time to this photo shoot, which I was kind of working on it already while I had a job, but I was really able to like put my all into it. Trusting the process is a fearful thing, but if you do trust the process and you trust in the universe, I don't think that fear can exist in that space,
Right,
which is
exactly.
very difficult too.
Exactly, but you just said it. You just said it. That's it right there. Because when you do trust the process, it unlocks doors, it opens doors, and it will have you in a place of divine alignment, and that's my favorite place to be. Okay,
Yeah,
alignment is that's my favorite place to be is in alignment. And
yeah,
so what I've realized, like no shit, I have realized that in the past, what is this, 3 weeks? I've been so much more aligned, so much more focused, and so much more open to
hmm,
receiving the nuggets and the signs and the inspiration that, just me working at a part-time gig where I was missing,
yeah.
or I would have to, I'll be, and you know what's funny? I do wanna put this out there. I actually really enjoyed the job itself, the duties.
Same, same.
I loved it. I was shining. People loved me, received very well. Of
It was
course,
the people, the
hello,
employees that I could
hello,
not get with.
hello, and it's a shame. Here we are in the year 2024, and we are still dealing with being lied on, being discriminated against. All types of crazy things. Like
Yeah.
it is crazy to me. But you know what? What I claim, and I will forever claim it, no matter what, I'm always victorious. I will always get the last laugh. I will always
Always.
okay. So, no matter, and most times, I don't even have to lift a finger, and you know what's crazy about this whole thing? 'Cause I'll tell the people, "Y'all can know, listen, I was going to just when I was terminated, I was gonna let it be that, and then I got my
Mhm.
termination letter, y'all, and it came in the mail, and there were lies upon lies on there, and I'm like, "Wait a second now, I can't just let this fly. I can't."
Right.
You
Right.
know, because that's just not how we giving it up. So, like I said, I handled it how I handled it, but, it's just a shame, but like I said, there are certain times, clearly the universe is like, "Let me whack it up real quick," because you have to be if you want to be acting in your crafts, working in your crafts, and, just operating, in your gifts fully, then we gotta let go of some things, and if that looks like
Yeah.
leaving jobs, quitting jobs, resigning, whatever that looks like, hey, I'm
It
I'm
gotta
all like,
go.
it gotta
Yeah.
it gotta go.
Yeah. And
If
that's the
it
thing
does not
too
for
that I
real.
noticed that at my job, like people like the job is all they have. Like they
Yes,
have nothing
yes,
else to worry about. So they just take it so seriously. But in the real world, they're like fucking losers. Um
yes.
and that's not me. Like this job is great. Like I love doing the job, but I'm not like you fucking losers. Like I have so much more going on outside of this place that is catapulting me into places and into rooms that are past my imagination. So it's just kind of like it feels even better, like in trusting the process and letting it go and getting away from fucking losers,
Hello.
who don't have anything outside of that workplace. It's
That's
sad, but
funny.
it's so.
That's funny you say that because the first thing I thought of in that whole thing is that one thing I have been reminded of so much lately is that if it interrupts your peace or lowers your vibration, break up with it. Just
Yeah,
as simple as that.
absolutely.
Just as
Yeah,
simple as that.
yeah,
And I've been learning that, and I've been learning that with not just jobs, but with people too, and trusting
yeah.
that process. process and what that looks like,
Mhm.
with, dealing with people differently or handling people differently, that you may have been used to dealing with a certain way, but it may not have served your highest good. It's time to
Right.
break up with it, you
Yeah.
know, and move
Yeah.
on
That's true.
because yeah. And and
'Cause
and
it's
you
like a
and you
feeling.
it really is, and you bring up a good point about, when you're surrounded by people who their whole life is dedicated to the job that they have, and
Mhm.
that's their whole personality trait. Imma be honest with you, and, granted, for certain obviously certain careers, but we talk about creative, y'all, but, so that can be dangerous, especially as a
Yeah.
creative, because I don't ever want to give a job more energy, time, efforts than I'm giving my own creativity and my own creative projects,
Exactly.
ever.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's just kinda like in knowing that you do your job and you go the fuck home, but, again,
Hello.
these people who have nothing else, like, they go home, they doing a job at home, like, they
Right.
just trying to get all of these accolades for nothing. Like, girl, you're not getting no extra pay, girl. You're not
Nope.
getting anything extra. Like, you're just stressing yourself out, and you're still gonna be a loser. You're still gonna be a
Yep.
loser who has nothing but this job. So it's just hilarious now that I like sit and think about it because I was going back and forth with myself about in resigning from the job. I was going back and forth with myself like, is this something I
Mm,
want to do? Something I don't want to do? But like I said, I've betted on myself many times in the past. For those of you who don't know, I used to be a high school teacher, and I taught for 8 years. Yeah, I taught for eight
mm,
years. It got to a point where I'm a type of creative where my body, my mind, my spirit will not allow me to rest if I'm doing something that is not in alignment with me and what I really want to do.
mm,
Even to go back further, when I've always knew that I wanted to live in New York. So when I graduated undergrad, in undergrad, I was a pharmacy technician. And then when I graduated undergrad, of course, I was able to just take more hours because I wasn't in school anymore. I caught myself trying to be comfortable doing that. But in the back of my back of my mind was like, New York, New York, New York, New York. So it got to the point where it's just like I was trying to save up money, but child, being a pharmacy tech in the South ain't no money to be saved. Okay.
mm.
So I tried my best, gave up my apartment and was like, couch surfing and all of that. But even in doing that, I had like $800. So I moved to
Mm,
New York with 800 fucking dollars. It packed up my little car, and here I am, and I'm still here like 13 years later. But again, it's just like betting on myself and trusting the process has always worked out. It's just not easy to do, but it's worth it. It is worth it. And same thing happened with me teaching. It's like it got to a point where even I would go to work and my students would ask me, like, why are you working here? Like, why are you here?
mm,
It's just like, and they didn't even know why they was asking me that. But I know that was the universe like just telling me, like, girl, you trying to be comfortable because you at this teaching job, you got insurance, you got benefits, the school near your apartment, you trying to be comfortable, but this is not the end goal for you. This is
mm,
not what you want to do, and you know that. So it got to a point where they kept every time they would ask me that because it was different students who would ask me that several times. I would just go home and be like, "Oh my gosh, like I can't keep doing this." And then it just got to a point where I would dread going to work, and that was kind of happening at this past job. I was like dreading going into the building because I just did not want to work with those people.
mm, mm.
And there was more for me, and I knew there was more for me. There was more for me, more things for me to pay attention to. Have to trust the process, y'all. And
You
I'm preaching
do.
to myself, but ain't no buts. Just trust the process. And then creating what that looks like is different for everybody. It looks different for Shy. It looks different for me. But I think, all in all, I think it's working out for the both of us in the way that it's supposed to.
I agree. I agree 100%. And I also want to piggyback on what you were saying about, others recognizing that and questioning, you being in certain spaces opposed to being, elsewhere. It's so funny because I got that often too, at all jobs, and in the last one where, people would ask me like, "Oh, like what do you do outside of this?" And I remember I answered this with this woman, I answered her question very vaguely, and she gave me that look like she was like, "No. No, 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 no."
Mhm.
She's like, I see you, basically, like, and so I just, I opened up and told her everything, and, it was in that moment where I realized, even in places where we may feel like we we're just doing this job, when you are that, when you are it, when you are a light, it shines through regardless, no matter the
Yeah,
position, no matter the
absolutely.
no matter the job or whatever, it will shine through and people recognize that. And those are moments for you to it's almost like seeing angel numbers,
Yeah,
or it's a moment for you to look inward and ask yourself, am I in alignment? Am I operating in alignment? Even if you are doing something that may not be what you want to do, is your headspace, clear? Do you
yeah,
feel, good? Do you feel like worth it or worthy of, like, just pursuing your your creativity and whatever that looks like, even
yeah,
after getting off of work, like, are you in alignment? And those reminders I really needed, and they started to come up so much, and it was like almost to the point of, like, my last day, it was a huge reminder. And then shortly after, that's when I made my exit, and I'm like, whoa, okay, I heard you,
yeah.
universe, heard you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think that's a part of it too, listening
Mhm,
to the universe or God or, whatever you believe in, a higher power.
absolutely.
But listening to and paying attention as well. Like, I've gotten very much better about paying attention to signs. A prime example, I was in the grocery store last week or a week and a half ago. I was in the grocery store and like I said, I have resigned from this job and I'm moving on to other things. And there's a song by Desiree called Gotta Be. You know the song?
Yes.
So this song has been with me on several journeys. The first time I remember is I was in this relationship and it was very toxic, very unhealthy. His best friend actually put the song back on my radar because I grew up hearing the song. But she was talking about how her mom died, and this song reminds her of her mom, and that kind of put it back on my radar. So ever since that day, I was just kind of play it. And then like once that relationship ended, it granted me so much comfort, so much comfort. So when I was in the grocery store and I heard the song, and it just let me know like you're making the right decision, like you're doing the
Mhm.
right thing. And it granted me that comfort all over again. And I was just in the grocery store, like I just stood still until the song went off and I just like took it all in because I know that is a sign from the universe, like just reassuring me that you are that bitch and you will continue to be that bitch and no type of job, no type of anything is going to stop what the universe has for me. And I know that. And do I forget it from time to time? Yes, because I'm human, but the universe is always here to remind me. But you got
Oh,
to pay
hey.
attention. You have to pay attention.
You
Okay, you
gotta be
gotta be
wiser.
wiser. Okay. There's just
Hey.
Desiree ate that. Like when you
She
just get into the
yo,
lyricism of it all, she
she
really ate
ate
that.
it.
And the
You
part of the
said,
song that really
uh.
snatches my wig every time is when she said, "Time asks no questions, it goes on
It
without you."
it goes on without you.
And it's
It does.
it's just kind of like so you have to get with it. Get with it because time
Mm,
is going, time is moving. And that's another thing about trusting the process. Let's talk about time. Like in trusting the
mhm.
process, like it may not happen on your timing. Like I said, I've been working on this project for over 2 years. And of course, I wanted it to be done over with and out by now. And even with the photo shoots being pushed back 3 to 4 times now. It's just not happening on my timing, and when that happens, it does make me very, very upset because it's just like I'm the creative director. I'm getting everybody's schedules together. I'm putting together mood boards. I'm styling. I'm doing so many things. So when I'm going to studios and pulling looks and jewelry and all types of shit. So when it doesn't happen, it's just kind of like it makes me kind of feel like is my work in vain? Like, what is going on? But just even like in having this conversation, just kind of like that work is not in vain. It's just you
It's
have to trust the
not.
process, and timing is a big part of that
Mhm.
because it's like Even when I look back and look at the things that I've manifested, none of it has happened in the time that I wanted it to happen, but it did happen when it was supposed to. I do believe that.
And you know the beautiful thing about timing too is that we just talked about two examples of that where it could happen earlier or it can happen later.
Yeah,
But when you just understand and you have that understanding and trusting of time and knowing that, it's going to happen at the time that is perfect for you and,
yeah,
for the time in which you can handle or whatever, then you will be able to move with more confidence, just in yourself and in what life really has to offer to you. Because again, I have projects too that I'm like, dang, I wish this could have been out. But then, for instance, had it happened on my time, and now I'm thinking about it, it wouldn't have been what I wanted it to be, So
yeah,
even the brand I was talking about earlier that I'm going to be launching soon, I wanted to launch this thing on November 17th. November
yeah,
17th and went. And I'm grateful, so grateful that it didn't happen in that way because where I am right now in the process of this whole thing it's so much more aligned than it was back when I thought I wanted to launch in November. And I'm so grateful for that, but it's about also taking your time, but knowing what time it is,
yeah.
and moving with a sense of urgency, moving with a sense of
Mhm.
intention and a sense of purpose,
Yeah,
you know?
I think time is like more than anything when it comes to creating, you need to use it as a tool for accountability. Like,
Absolutely.
use it to hold yourself accountable, but in doing that, it shouldn't ruin the process of whatever you're creating. Because I can procrastinate. I need a marker to be like, I'm getting this done at this time. Like, I need something to hold me accountable. So, yeah.
Absolutely, and even what's crazy about time, and I don't know if you all heard that notification that just went off. Here I am, I thought I'd put my computer on do not disturb, but that was for an hour. Because what's crazy is that on 7-Eleven every day, my notifications remind me that my brand is launching, and here I was just talking about it. So,
Yes.
look, it's it's happening, it's definitely happening, and I'm grateful for all the signs that I get, all the confirmation that I get, everything,
Yeah,
y'all. Keep your
absolutely.
eyes open, your ears open, your energy open, your spirit open to receive the abundance that you are due. That is your
Yes.
right, and I'm
Yeah.
preaching to myself right there because
Absolutely. I it's personal to you and what trust in the process looks like, but trust it if you can, and even
trust
if you
it.
can't, it's gonna keep coming back to you as a creative because when you're a true creative, it's what sets you free. Like, it puts you
Yes,
in your elements, what sets you free, so it's gonna keep nagging you and nagging you and nagging you. But again, you need to go through that as well so that you can learn to trust the process more. And that's just something that you'll never stop going through. Because I've noticed with myself, like, the more and more I do projects, the bigger they get, and the more things I have to learn, and the more things I have to like navigate
mm,
and pivot through. And I have, even in trusting the process, I have huge issues with when things don't go my way, like picking up the pieces and pushing forward. That's a lesson that I'm continuing to learn is how to pick up the pieces and move forward, even in everyday life. Like, in everyday life, adulting is hard. Things do not go your way all the
yeah,
time. But you have to pick up the pieces and
you
push
do.
forward. I'm learning that, and I'm trying to do it even with small things. Like, have you ever been cooking and let's say you went to the grocery store, right? You went to go get all the ingredients you needed. You get home, you start cooking, and you realize you missed an ingredient, and you pissed off
Mm.
because you just came from the store.
Yes.
And usually what I would do is be like, "Fuck it, I'm not even cooking this shit." But now I'm trying to get into the process of like, "Okay, well, let's try to replace it with some other ingredient or, let's make something
Mhm.
else." It's just like, even thinking about it in those small ways, it's just like it helps me to not give up because it's so easy for me to just be like, "Fuck it." And
Mm.
I'm just trying to not be that person anymore.
Talk about it. Yeah, no, that actually happens quite often. But like you say, you have to just be in that moment and just you have to, well, you don't have to, but it will definitely behoove you to move forward, in a way that, okay, what can I do here? Can we make
Right.
something different? Can we use what we got? Can we is there something else that we can, use in replacement of what I'm missing? And,
Right.
you move on forward and then, you enjoy your meal. But
Exactly.
that's just life too,
Yeah, and
you
if you
know?
go back to our first episode where John Tate was like, "My mistakes are perfection," like, you learn so much from mishaps that happen like that. Like, even
Yeah,
let's take it to a restaurant. Let's say you go to your favorite restaurant. Your favorite restaurant is like, you order, I don't know, a burger, and they be like, "Oh, we don't have that today." So you
yeah,
have to order something else, right? You order something else and you end up loving it. But had you like, had they had it, you wouldn't have experienced whatever that other option was. So it's just kind of like
exactly.
sometimes you have to look at it like that too. It's just to be like, okay, I'm pivoting to something else and it's going to lead me in a different direction that's going to help me in some form or some shape. And that's a great thing. That's such a
It
great thing.
is, and that's where I talk about being open to, to receiving the abundance because, if you're closed off to it, then you won't receive those opportunities or you'll, overlook or miss that opportunity and, you'll get upset or you'll leave the restaurant where you could have just tried, the salmon this time instead of the burger and you probably love the
Right.
salmon too, you know? So yeah,
Right.
it to my people out there, it is that deep. It is.
Yeah.
It is that
Yeah.
deep.
It is. It
It
is.
really is.
Even in recording this episode, we were having technical difficulties.
Uh,
But we pushing forward. We gonna see what we
pushing
got recorded in
forward.
the end, and we gonna work with it. But again, because this is just
Absolutely.
something new for us, and we're learning as we go. But you have to push forward, and you have to make shit happen.
You do, and
Cause
even us recording here now, y'all, the studio that we record at, they are doing spring renovations,
yeah,
and so we like, okay, we still wanna record, we still want our show
yeah,
to go on, so here we are,
yeah. So I'm in a
it look
we're in the process of buying remote equipment and things like that. Like it's still the show still has to go on. So
Yes, it does, and the process just it literally has to be trusted. That's what it's there for. It is there for us to be trusted and well, for it to be trusted and for us to just, I like to think of life and especially like in these years where, I'm maturing and adulting is, getting realer and realer, but I realized that I want to live a sweet life and the way I
yeah.
think about life is sweet. And the
Mhm.
more and more I tell myself that, where that belief turns into a knowing, the more I see that and the more life really is sweet, and it's getting sweeter, shall I say. So just please, y'all, just trust that process. And I'm telling you, I'm talking to myself to keep trusting the process, keep, showing up as your full self
Absolutely.
even in spaces where you may feel like others are trying to dim your light, others may be lying on you, discriminated against you. Keep showing up. Keep showing up. You are incredible. You are needed. You are appreciated. Your perspective and point of view is important, and your art is deserving of a full life as well. So
Both talking to ourselves as well. We don't want this to come off
absolutely,
as we're just trying to give all this advice. No, we're talking to ourselves, but hoping that it resonates with others who are listening. Um,
absolutely,
yeah, this has been a great conversation. And it has really
agreed.
enlightened me and gave me a bit more gas to like continue this project that I'm currently working on, even though it's not going in the way that I would want it to. I think I deserve to give it more reverence and more time to bring to completion. So I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do
For
that.
myself, it's been healing for me too, believe it or not, really reminding me to just, like to be excited, but to n to just trust that it's gonna work out, it's gonna be great, and it's gonna be beyond what I envisioned.
Be sure to listen to the Creative. We're going to be releasing on Wednesdays instead of Tuesdays now. We want to give ourselves at least 2 days to edit and go back and forth about things. So episodes will be coming out on Wednesdays now on Spotify and wherever else you get your podcasts. It should be coming up on Apple Music this week, but look out on our social medias if you're not following us there. It is on Instagram. It is the Creative. The same title of the episode, you'll find us the Creative Pod, POD at the end. Um, so follow us there for updates and we'll let you know when those episodes go up. And as always, remember to leave here empty.
Cheers.
Peace out.
Peace. I thought you said cheers, but cherish it.